Every year, thousands of people in Japan walk away from their lives. They leave behind homes, families, debts, and identities. They are not kidnapped. They are not lost. They choose to vanish. And in Japan, there is a word for them: Johatsu, the evaporated people. You might think disappearance requires death. It does not. It requires only the decision that the life you are living has become unlivable, and that the only escape is to stop being who you are. This is not a ghost story. This is about the systems we have built, the pressures we have normalized, and the quiet desperation that lives just beneath the surface of modern civilization. Part 1. The Invisible Exit. In Tokyo, Osaka, and cities across Japan, there are businesses that help people disappear. They are called yanagia, night movers. They operate in the shadows of legality, offering relocation services for those who need to vanish without a trace. For a fee, they will pack your belongings in the middle of the night, transport you to a new city, and help you establish a new identity. No questions asked. No forwarding address. The clients are not criminals fleeing justice. They are ordinary people, salarymen drowning in debt, women escaping abusive marriages, young adults crushed by academic failure, middle-aged workers laid off in an economy that offers no second chances. They are people for whom the social cost of failure has become unbearable. In Japan, failure is not merely personal. It is familial. It is communal. To fail is to bring shame not only upon yourself, but upon everyone connected to you. And so, for some, the most compassionate act they can imagine is to remove themselves entirely from the equation. To disappear is to spare others the burden of your existence. The mechanics are simple. You stop answering your phone. You abandon your apartment. You leave no note. You withdraw whatever cash you can and vanish into the anonymity of a distant city. In a nation of 125 million people, it is remarkably easy to become invisible. But the question is not how they disappear. The question is why. Part 2. The Architecture of Pressure. Japan is a nation built on collective harmony. The individual exists in service to the group, the family, the company, the society. This is not inherently oppressive. It has produced one of the most orderly, efficient, and technologically advanced civilizations in human history. But it has also produced a culture in which deviation from expectation is met with profound social consequences. Consider the Japanese concept of sekentiai, the face you present to society. It is not merely reputation. It is the performance of normalcy, stability, and success. To maintain sekentiai is to uphold the social contract. To lose it is to become an object of pity, gossip, and quiet exclusion. In this context, financial failure is not just an economic problem. It is an existential one. Japan's consumer debt culture, particularly through high-interest loans from companies targeting vulnerable borrowers, has created a class of individuals whose debts far exceed their ability to repay. For many, bankruptcy is not seen as a practical solution, but as a public admission of failure, a stain that cannot be washed away. Similarly, job loss in a society that values lifelong employment is not simply unemployment. It is the collapse of identity. In Japan, your company is not just where you work. It is who you are. To lose your job, particularly in middle age, is to become socially unmoored. And in a job market that heavily favors youth and stability, re-entering the workforce becomes nearly impossible. Academic pressure operates along similar lines. The Japanese education system is intensely competitive, with a student's future often determined by a single university entrance examination. For those who fail, or who cannot bear the pressure, the sense of having irrevocably ruined their lives can be overwhelming. The cultural narrative offers little room for redemption or alternative paths. You succeed, or you disappear. This is the environment in which Johatsu occurs. It is not the product of individual weakness. It is the logical outcome of a system in which the cost of visibility has become too high. Part 3. The Mechanisms of Erasure. To disappear in Japan is easier than it should be. The systems that govern identity and residency were never designed to prevent voluntary vanishing. They were designed to track stable, law-abiding citizens. For those willing to abandon stability, the gaps are wide. Japan's residency registration system, the Juminhyo, requires citizens to register their address with local authorities. But the system relies on self-reporting. If you move without updating your registration, you simply cease to exist in the bureaucratic record. Your mail stops. Your health insurance lapses. Your family cannot locate you through official channels. You become a ghost in the system. Bank accounts can be closed remotely. Phones can be discarded. Social media can be deleted. In a society that prizes privacy and non-confrontation, few people will push to find you. Even families, bound by shame and the fear of social judgment, may choose not to report a disappearance. To do so is to admit that someone in your family has failed so profoundly that they chose oblivion. The Yonija exploit these gaps with clinical efficiency. They provide not just transportation, but also advice on avoiding detection, which cities have lax registration enforcement, which jobs pay in cash, how to live without leaving a paper trail. They're enablers of erasure, and they are thriving. Some who disappear do not use these services. They simply walk away. They board a train to a city where no one knows them, find work in the informal economy, and begin again with no past. Day laborers, construction workers, cleaners, jobs that require no background checks, no references, no questions. In the urban sprawl of Tokyo or Osaka, anonymity is a commodity as available as convenience store rice balls. But disappearance is not freedom. It is a different kind of prison. The disappeared live in constant fear of being found, not by authorities, but by creditors, former employers, or family members who might drag them back into the life they fled. They live without legal identity, without access to healthcare, without the ability to form meaningful relationships. They are alive, but they are not living. Part 4. The cost of absence. The families left behind exist in a state of suspended grief. Their loved one is not dead, but they are not alive in any way that can be acknowledged. There is no funeral. There is no closure. There is only absence. In Japan, the families of the disappeared rarely speak publicly about their loss. To do so would be to invite judgment, to admit that their family structure was flawed, that they failed to prevent what happened. And so they suffer in silence, carrying the weight of not knowing whether their son, daughter, spouse, or parent is safe, whether they are suffering, whether they will ever return. Some families hire private investigators. These investigators, specializing in locating the missing, navigate the same systems the disappeared exploit. They check hospitals, homeless shelters, day labor hiring sites. They scan surveillance footage. They follow faint trails of digital breadcrumbs. Sometimes they succeed. Often they do not. And even when they find someone, the person they find may refuse to return. The law cannot compel them. Disappearance in Japan is not a crime. For the disappeared, the psychological toll is profound. The initial relief of escape gives way to isolation. Without identity, there is no possibility of intimacy. Without past, there is no continuity. Many who vanish eventually resurface years later, worn down by loneliness, by illness, by the realization that they have traded one form of suffering for another. But many do not resurface. They die alone, in rented rooms or on the streets, their bodies discovered days or weeks later. In Japan, these are called kodakushi lonely deaths. The authorities attempt to identify them, but if they have lived off the grid, there may be no records to match. They are buried in unmarked graves, their families never notified, their absence never explained. This is the final cost of Johatsu. Not just the erasure of identity, but the erasure of death itself. Part 5. The mirror. Japan did not invent the impulse to disappear. It simply made it visible. Across the world, people are vanishing in different ways. In the West, they call it dropping out, ghosting, going off the grid. The mechanisms differ, but the underlying pressures are remarkably similar: economic precarity, social judgment, the sense that the future offers nothing but more of the same grinding struggle. The difference is that Japan has named it. Japan has created an infrastructure around it. Japan has acknowledged, through its silence, that this is a systemic problem, not an individual pathology. Johatsu is not a failure of the disappeared. It is a failure of the systems that made disappearance seem like the only rational choice. It forces an uncomfortable question. How many people in your own life are one catastrophe away from vanishing? How many are already disappearing slowly in ways you have not noticed? The disappeared do not leave because they are weak. They leave because they are out of options. They leave because the cost of remaining visible has exceeded their capacity to endure it. They leave because no one stopped them. And perhaps that is the most disturbing realization of all. We live in societies that claim to value human life, human dignity, human connection. But we have built economic and social systems that make it easier to disappear than to ask for help. We have normalized isolation, precarity, and shame to the point where vanishing seems reasonable. Japan is simply the place where this reality has been given a name. Our final words. The evaporated people are still out there. In the back alleys of cities, in the anonymous crowds, in the spaces between the official and the real. They are not gone. They are simply invisible. And the rest of us continue on, eyes forward, never asking why.